Hi, my name is Leah and welcome to Hide and Seek. Are you sitting there realising that we are now more than halfway through November and that pile of non-fiction books is taunting you or teasing you from your bedside table or your bookshelf? Well, fear not. I might have the solution for you. At its bare bones, Danger Music by Ayres is simply a memoir. The memoir of a much loved but rather obscure radio presenter here in Australia. Yet this story is so much more than that. Without exaggeration and without hyperbole, if you only have the time and the energy to read one book this November, I urge you to consider Danger Music, as each of the 4 prompts are highlighted with love, with honesty, and with a dash of humour, making this the only book you need to read for Non-Fiction November. Ayres is a world-renowned musician and teacher of both the cello and the violin, having taught and played all over the world. Until 2014, they were a radio presenter on Australia's national broadcaster, the ABC, on their classic FM radio program, my favourite way to start the morning, before leaving to take up a teaching position in Afghanistan at the National Institute of Music in Kabul. All that time, Ayres was Emma Ayres, and this is the story of that transition. Now, obviously, and primarily, I had chosen this book to represent the prompt of scholarship. A simple story of a teacher in a school. Sure, the war-torn country setting made diversity a factor and made it perhaps a little bit more interesting, but it is at its heart the story of a teacher with the pitfalls and highlights of teaching teenagers, the universal themes of teenage angst and the joys of being a teacher. Interestingly though, with scholarly insight, I found out so much more about Western music than I had ever known before. But not just that, and perhaps more importantly, this book highlighted Afghan music, of which I knew nothing about. So the scholarly, studious input from this book rated it well into the 5 stars for me. The other prompt, which I knew would be raised throughout the book, but which was on every page and in every story, was the prompt of love. Primarily the prompt of the love of music. And I'm going to read a quote here that highlights it in one sentence. When the Taliban banned music in 1996, they stole something utterly essential to the Afghan people. I have never before met people who are so soaked in music. To be without music there is to be without life. That love of music permeates every page, and the desire to spread that love of music to children and adults in a war-torn nation when they are busy trying to survive, let alone take time to learn and appreciate music. But it's not just the love of music. It is the love for each other, whether on an individual scale, and whether that love be romantic love, sexual love, fraternal love, paternal love, love in all its forms. Whether that love be on a global scale, where first world nations are trying to show love and support for our brothers from war-torn third world nations, and how that love can sometimes go wrong. But perhaps most poignantly and heartbreakingly, this story is permeated with the love of self. And Eddie's realization that to love himself is to realize that there is a change that is needed, that transition is essential, and that fundamentally being true to yourself is what makes you grow and thrive. And to love yourself is the greatest gift that you can give before you can give love to anybody else. The third prompt, the prompt of home, is also quite obvious in a book told from the point of view of an expat. Home is the people you find around you, making the expat community your home away from home. Whether it's home, the family who you have left behind and trying to keep in contact with. Perhaps also the thought of home in a war-torn country. And this is highlighted in a particular story that Eddie brings to the point where Eddie's waiting in line to get their visa ratified, where everybody else was trying to leave and I was trying to stay. And that dichotomy, that ambiguity, that tension created by people who call a war-torn nation home. Should they stay and try to make their homeland better? Should they try to be the one to pull their homeland up from the war-torn mess it is in? Or should they flee and create home somewhere else where they personally can thrive and grow? I felt that to be interesting and fascinating and a concept I'd never considered before. Perhaps most surprisingly, it was the prompt of substance that let this book the gravity it needed to be, if not my favourite book of the year, most definitely my favourite non-fiction book of the year. Without preaching, without presumption, without patronising, Ayres deftly brought to light essential information on important topics such as the philanthropic first world nations trying to support war-ravaged third world countries, both the successes and the failures. Highlighted the difference to me between the Mujahideen and the Taliban, of which the subtleties and intricacies I did not know. Highlighted to me how, despite corruption, so much good can occur. And it was this substance and this gravity that really made this book outstanding and made every other prompt shine brighter, because this substance underpinned it all. Now, I know it is a big ask to say you only need to read one book. And if I had to find a point of improvement, initially I thought I would have loved to have heard this as an audiobook, because Emma Ayres, as I said, was my favourite radio presenter. But I realised that it wouldn't work anymore in that voice, because the Emma Ayres I listened to on the radio has changed, has transitioned, and whilst the tone is the same, the voice is different. And I think this voice, this Eddie Ayres, rings true in a way I couldn't listen to and imagine Emma Ayres doing. So this story, Danger Music, is wonderful. If you're a music lover, if you're not a music lover, if you are a person interested in diversity, if you are a person interested in world politics, this is a wonderful, wonderful book for you to read. And as a bonus at the back, there is a playlist of all the music, both classical and Afghani music, that you can listen to and create yourself to enjoy the wonderful music that was spoken of in this book. There is also, and I'll link below, a YouTube video of the school performing the Afghan children's national anthem, and it's wonderful, and I'll link that below. I strongly urge you that if you are stuck in Non-Fiction November and we are racing to the end of the month and you are looking for a book, choose Danger Music. It won't let you down. So thank you for watching. I'd really love you to subscribe. If you've read this book or other memoirs that you think are brilliant, please let me know. I'd really love to discuss them. Have a fabulous day.